Next question. You'll follow. Okay. Go ahead.
We all know what is strong about our school system, beginning with talented students and concerned parents. But what do you see as the greatest problem we are facing, and how are you going to be part of the solution?
I don't know. I'm sure that I wouldn't characterize it as a quote-unquote problem, but I think that a very well-performing school district like Freehold Regional High School District is going to face very tough decisions over the next couple of years as the budget, with the new 2% cap, we are in uncharted waters, and real tough decisions are going to be made to maintain the quality and the integrity of many of the programs here, and to make sure that students are still having the opportunities today, tomorrow, next year that they've had in the past. So I wouldn't characterize it as a problem, but I would characterize it as necessary oversight to kind of make decisions on those programs. And I will tell you, I don't think the solution is to dilute programs to the point of them being ineffective. So to just cut across the board. I think you have to make some real targeted decisions on what serves the most students and what drives student achievement in terms of those decisions you're going to make. But at the end of the day, I think that the next couple of years are going to be very tough ones for all public schools in the state of New Jersey with the new cap.
Please.
Hi, Mr. Sampson. My name is Megan Moscow, special education teacher at Colton High School, and also graduated from the Boroughs District. My question for you, I'm hearing a lot of plans and stuff, but what I want to know is why did you choose Freehold Regional High School District? What is it about this district that makes you want to be our new superintendent?
It's an absolute dream job. I'll tell you flat out that and I've said this throughout the interview process, my resume is not out. I'm not interviewing anywhere else. I put my resume into this place and this place only because you have an unbelievable school community. You have 6 unbelievable high schools. I'm a high school person at heart. I love the high school. In my current job, my office is connected to my high school, so I just have spent a lot of time there. And it's an absolute dream job to be a superintendent of schools in a district like this.
I know that there's board members in this room right now, and I hope I don't offend anyone. But as a parent in this community for 7 years, and also board member in an elementary school district, one of my biggest concerns about this district is the collaborative problem solving that needs to go on amongst the board members. This is I think they represent 9 people representing 8 communities, and getting everyone to get on board and get things done is a big challenge. I didn't hear your introduction. I came in late because I was in the other district, but I'd like to hear what your experience is with the collaborative problem solving, what was like when you first were superintendent in terms of getting the board motivated to get things done, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I referenced the strategic plan when I first spoke.
We don't have one, and we haven't for years.
Well, and I think that would be a worthwhile endeavor in a district of this size. But I also think that and I can only speak when I first became a superintendent, we had come off of a time where there had been a person in the seat for a number of years and very consistent, and then it went through about 8 months of an interim and without a superintendent, and so I had to kind of pick it up and run. And what I was able to do was really to take the 7 strategies that drove our strategic plan, put those together, and funnel everything through those 7 strategies. And so it keeps everybody on the same page, and when we're talking about a particular district problem, when you put it through the lens of a specific strategy that you've vetted through the community that we've all agreed is the way we want the direction we want to head, it makes it much easier to collaborate because you're collaborating in a very specific and clear manner. And then you have to be open in the process, and you have to be transparent. And when you make a mistake, which I've made, you've got to get out there publicly and explain what you did, what you anticipated, why it didn't work the way you thought you were going to do, and what's the correction going to be. But I think if you are doing that process, if you're not making a decision in your office alone, folks are with you in the process. And I like to create layers, feedback loops of just different groups. I might send an email out to a targeted group of staff members and solicit some of their feedback. on a document that's going home or on a plan of action, just to keep other folks, invested in the process.
I'd like to thank you for your presentation. My question is, how will you deal with low-performing teachers, and will you support a strong anti-nepotism policy?
By law, we have to do that, with the nepotism policy. The, low-performing teachers, I think that that's a loaded phrase. And I think it means low-performing by what metric? For me, we are very clear in my roles as an administrator. I've always set very clear parameters on what the expectations are. And I've also always followed through when those expectations were not met. There's data to support that. There's other factors that you would look at, but the term low-performing is a difficult statement, because if you don't have an agreed-upon set of metrics on what's measuring that performance, then you're just kind of out in space, and it could be potentially very dangerous. What I would do, what I have done in the past 3 years in my present position, is really develop a kind of concise set of metrics within our district about what is and is not acceptable, and move forward from there with my faculty and staff. And the folks that haven't met that bar, then they're addressed accordingly. Yeah, absolutely. You cannot have, there's certain things you can and can't do by law with the nepotism policy, and I don't really know what you're referencing in terms of specific jobs and things. So I wouldn't necessarily comment on that, other than to say that you can't do that by law in certain areas. If you would follow the law. I wouldn't know that. I don't know what you're
We're going to take the next question.
Hi, my name is Danny Banks, and I go to Colesburg High School. And you referenced, when you were speaking, the student advisory board, and watching your presentation, I thought a lot of it was vague. Can you give a specific example of how you involve yourself in the student life?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, my office is attached to the high school. So when I want to stretch my legs in my current district, I walk out in the high school. The kids all know who I am. I get chants at basketball games, which I think is pretty cool. But what I've done specifically to target is I might ask for particular students from the high school administration. I buy them lunch. Every now and then I might have the senior student council. I might ask the high school principal, give me 2 kids from each grade level that have done something that you're real proud of in the past month, and then literally buy them pizza on their lunch and just talk to them for about 40 minutes. Ask them what's going on in the school, what's happening in their lives, and dialogue with them directly. And I try to structure that, so that it happens 5 or 6 times a year, so that it's consistent. You have to schedule it, or else it wouldn't happen. But I think that I'm fairly attuned to what's happening with the students in my school, and I also am kind of a presence at every school function, whether it's the school play, the band competition, the football game. I'm at everything, so I get to know the kids. I only have one high school, so it's easier to do that in my current job. I would know that here with 6 high schools, you would have to schedule that. But I think that if you make yourself a presence in structured manners, you're able to dialogue with students in a more meaningful way.
English teacher, Colesburg High School. These are my students here tonight. Thank you for your presentation. You spoke earlier about metrics and expectations, and 2 questions ago, I was wondering if you could be a little more specific about what it is you expect of teachers, what those metrics and expectations are.
Sure. We embarked on a fairly ambitious professional development plan around understanding by design a couple years ago, and we designed our own template for the planning process. And we've gradually kind of escalated what's expected with the planning process. Now, we've given a ton of support to that, a lot of time out of the classroom to make sure that everybody was successful in that. But as we've escalated those expectations, folks have had to kind of keep pace with that. The other thing that we did was we We changed our observation tools to really focus on evidence of student learning in the classroom and a reflective piece on the teacher's end, where we ask our teachers to track a metric in their classroom. So it might be student performance on benchmark assessments, because we've developed our own in-house benchmark assessments at the middle school and high school, where we give common assessments, 4 common assessments a year on 4 disciplines. We grade them collaboratively, and we identify areas of need and strength as teachers in the discipline. So I asked the teachers to complete the reflection piece as part of their professional expectation. And that's one thing that we'll meet with folks about and dialogue about what they're looking at in their classroom. Because to me, kind of the double loop learning, reflecting on what you did and kind of changing, is the most important thing that you should be doing in the classroom as a classroom instructor. So I've developed a tool to kind of measure that.
Hi, I'm Joan Lineback, and I've been living in the community for 25 years. I've had 2 children successfully go through the district, and I also have the perspective of having been a Freedom Regional Board member. And you said a lot of words that I really like to hear, that is, long time coming, with transparency, community involvement. And something near and dear to my heart was consistent experiences. And I'm just wondering how, if this is a diverse community, how you see the measurement and what you can do with the information.
We've spent a great deal of time, I spent a great deal of time as a supervisor first and foremost, and as a superintendent now, working with my teams of teachers that teach the same subjects regardless of district, so that we are utilizing common benchmarks, we establish common expectations for core courses, and that we have an agreed upon set of minimal experiences for all students. And then we've spent a lot of time identifying the gaps in certain places. Well, okay, if we do a gap analysis of where we're meeting our standards in our English 1 course, and in these 3 buildings we're meeting all these standards, and these 3 there's this gap here, then we've got to address that. But you have to pull it apart and look at the data to be able to do that. So it takes a pretty significant amount of time. We've been working with our 9th and 10th grade teachers for 2 whole years on doing this in my present district, and we're making a lot of progress, but it's a time-consuming process, and if you're going to do it in a collaborative way, we do it as a team, so everybody's sitting in the same room together looking at the same data, and it's not an I gotcha game. It's like, how do we make sure that everybody is consistent? And again, I said consistent doesn't mean the same exact experience for all students, but it means that every student is going to maximize their potential in that class regardless, and the expectations for all should be consistent.